My last straw situation happened during a particularly busy and chaotic night at Chipotle.
Next!
We were understaffed, and the line was pretty much all the way to the door. And I'm on cashier, ringing people up, and this guy comes. He stands at the end of the line, waits a bit, and then he comes to the front of the line, and he says something to me. I don't quite hear what he says, but he reaches over and grabs like one of the completed bowls, and he is basically stealing the food. And what I do is I automatically grab onto the bowl, and like he's tugging it out of my hand and I won't let go. And the bowl breaks, and he takes the rest of the food and just flings it at me and like curses and then storms out. And I am like shaking. I'm in shock. Like my fingers are cut up from the bowl, and I was just like, I was so shook. And the manager came and he was like, just calm down, it's gonna be okay. And I was just like, wow, did that really happen? And so after that, I was really like, man, I really need to find a new job. Because it's just absolutely ridiculous, like getting food thrown at you. And like, granted, I probably should have let him just take the food, but it was a gut reaction. And later on, my manager was like, it's not worth it. And it really wasn't. And that was really a big wake up call. It's like, here I am, like risking my life to save a bowl of food at a restaurant that I kind of hate. When it came to navigating between pursuing my dream of becoming a screenwriter and working in food service, at times it was pretty tough. You know, I'd get home after working a long shift, a stressful shift, and I'd have to come home and decompress and recharge. And sometimes I didn't really feel like doing anything productive. But, you know, other times I had to remind myself is that my position working in food service isn't permanent. You know, I went to film school, I have a master's degree, like I'm not becoming complacent, and I have to keep telling myself, keep going, because, you know, I'm a writer and this is what I was meant to do. My friends were also writers. I was in a writers group, so I was actively working and sharing my work and just trying to find time between working at Chipotle and, you know, everything else I have to do in my life. And I just had to really manage my time and schedule time for me to just concentrate on writing, concentrate on applying for jobs. Even if it was just one job a day, even if I wrote one page a day, that was something. Honestly, what kept me going is just having a support system of friends who could hold me accountable for my work, knowing that I've already worked so hard in school to get the degrees. I moved to LA all the way from New York with barely any money. And I just kept telling myself, like, you have to keep going, even if it takes years. I mean, I hope it didn't take years, because I definitely did not want to be working in food service for years, but there was more to this life than where I was at currently, that I knew that I could make it, that I was smart enough, that I was talented enough. And honestly, I was really motivated to just get out, because I was like, I really hated working at Chipotle, and I was just like, I can't be this miserable all the time. So those were the kind of stuff that kept me going, really. Last year in 2021, I was finally able to hang up my apron and leave Chipotle to work at Paramount Pictures full time. Before the pandemic, I was working at Paramount as a studio page while also working at Chipotle. But then I got laid off and had to work at Chipotle full time. And so when I got the call back, I was like, yes, there's no question. And I just remember when I worked at Chipotle, every time I woke up from my shift, I thought, do I really need this job? And just a feeling of dread and misery walking in to clock in. And, would talk to my coworkers and ask them, oh, how was the shift? And they'd be like, oh, it sucked. It was terrible. And I was like, cool. But now that I'm working full time in a movie studio, I get benefits. It's a relief because now I know that I'm on the right track towards my career. I will say that my job isn't necessarily related to screenwriting at all, but it's a step in the right direction. I'm getting the experience that I need to move on to bigger things, and I'm still doing my writing on the side, but now I can at least feel a sense of relief that I'm not stuck, because I felt that way sometimes working in food service and knowing like I have a master's degree and yet here I am as a cashier, and it's just such a relief to not have to work in food service anymore. But I will always have the biggest respect for people who work in retail and food service, and that experience really did help me, with customer service and dealing with stressful situations. So, it did help, but it is great to know that I never have to swipe in that clocking card ever again.